This is Brandon Moon with Leland Fly Fishing. I want to welcome you tonight to our fly tying night. I want to encourage you to take and like and subscribe our channel. I also want you to like any of the videos you see and leave a comment as well. So for our fly tonight, we're going to be tying a blueing olive pattern. And this is going to be a deer hair CDC done. Okay, so this is a hackless fly, or dry fly here, and it's going to float nice and low in the water column, kind of like a compare done will, and it's somewhat similar, but this is going to be a little bit different fly here. It's got a little different look to it. I do like how this gives a nice good silhouette to a natural dry adult. So we're going to get started. This can be tied anywhere from a size 14 all the way to a size 20. We're going to tie it in the size 14. We like the ML 101, the Moonlit Tagata dry fly hook. So we're going to go ahead and tie this up now. Set that in the vise here. A blueing olive is an overly abundant food source. I can tie this pattern in a PMD as well by changing the color. So for our thread, we're going to be using the Pale Olive thread by Semperfli. And we're going to start this just about a little past three quarters. We're going to wrap our thread rearward. You can see I've got this tag end here. I'm kind of holding it so that I can push each thread wrap into the previous wrap. I'm not going to cut that tag end off yet. I want to save that for a little bit later, and I'll show you why. Now we're going to tie in our tail. And for our tail here, we're going to be using these Hens microfibet in the light dun. We want to get 4 of these. And I want to keep them so my tips are pretty even. You can see there's 4 of them there. I'm going to measure this out. I want it to be roughly the length of my hook shank. If I'm going to err on the side of being too long or too short, I want to be too long on this dry fly. So I'm going to wrap this relatively loose, couple wraps, and make sure that's sitting up on top. Now I'm going to take and push those tail fibers up. And there's that 4th one down there. They're a little bit hard to see because they are that lighter color. And I'm going to use that thread to take and kind of splay and split those tail fibers. Then I'm just going to take and wrap, lock that in. Now I'll trim this out. Now we'll just take and continue locking that in. I'm going to wrap rearward back towards that tail again and that tie-in point. Now I'm going to give it 2 wraps underneath. Now I want to kind of bring that in. I can really kind of pull on those. That's going to give me a nice split tail there. Now I'm just going to smooth this out one more time and get ready to tie in our body material here. Okay, so for our body material, we're going to be using the Blue Wing Olive Nature Spirit Turkey Biot. There's two sides. You can see thicker biots on this side, thinner biots on this side. I like the thinner side here if I'm going to be tying the body. Okay, you want to moisten these up, so it's actually not a bad idea to have a couple of them prepared in a moist paper towel or in a little cup of water. And the reason being is that's actually going to help keep your biot from wanting to be brittle and break on you. Okay, you can see this biot has a ridge on one side and a little bit of a translucent side on that side. So I'm going to take that translucent piece and I'm going to have that facing downward. I'm going to tie that in, and then I'm just going to take and wrap this forward. I'll trim off that tip piece there. Now we'll go and create a little bit of a taper to this body with my thread. I'm going to go rearward and frontward. And this is where this Semperfli thread comes into really good use because it lays nice and flat, doesn't build up a ton of bulk, so it's going to give a nice smooth taper. I want to build up my body right there where that biot's going to be tied in at. I'm going to half hitch this here. Okay, and this is so I can use my rotary feature on my vise. I'm going to take just a little bit of Loctite super glue, and this is just going to help secure this biot onto my thread. It's going to make it a little bit more durable as well. Okay, now I'm just going to take my hackle pliers, grab that by the tip. Now we're going to start wrapping this, and I want to wrap this so the ridge is on the back side, and this is going to help me create the taper in the biot ridge body here, because that semi-translucent piece is going to be where I lay that ridge down on this biot. I'm just going to wrap that. I'm going to wrap it all the way up in there. A little bit further than where it's actually going to be, but that just helps make sure my body is nice and good. We'll trim that off. Now I want to take and I want to create a nice thread underbody for my wing and my deer hair that I'm going to be tying in here to really grip onto. Okay, so for my hair I'm going to use the X Caddis in the dun, and this is by Nature Spirit. I really like this color. I don't need very much, so I'm just going to take and get a nice small patch. The reason I'm putting the deer hair in this wing is to add a little bit of help with the flotation, to help it float a little better than just a CDC wing. Okay, so you can see there's my clump, nothing too big, a little bit of sparse. I'm just going to kind of pull any under body on there, get that out. We'll drop that into our hair stacker here. Okay, give it a couple taps. Now I want the hackle tips to be coming forward, okay, because this is going to be, I want my hackle facing forward on here. Okay, I'm going to make sure I don't have any fibers in there. Now I'm going to measure this out. I want it to be the length of my hook shank. I'm going to do 2 loose wraps. I'll tighten it down just a little bit, but not a whole ton. I'll put a wrap in front, and that's just going to secure that in. Okay, for my CDC, I'm going to use this medium slate done by Nature Spirit. Okay, I want roughly 2 to 4 of these CDC fibers. I'm going to stack them on top of each other with the tips lined up. I'm going to use 3 of them for mine. Well, I think I want 4. So we'll do 4. Okay, I'm going to measure that out. I want it to be the same length as that deer hair, so I'm just going to kind of give it 2 loose wraps. I'm going to suck that down in to that deer hair. Now I'm just going to pull that back. Okay, now I'm going to take some kapok dubbing from Semperfli, and we'll take the pale olive. We'll put some dubbing on here. It goes on nice and thin. You can see it's a nice tight noodle there. We're just going to put it on there so that we can for this I'm going to take and pull that wing forward, the back side of the CDC and the deer hair. This will help stand that up. Now I'm going to do the same thing in front. Kind of alternate. Pulling that back. Now I can just whip finish this here. Snip off my thread. Now I need to pull these fibers up. Okay, and then I'm going to take my scissors and cut them at an angle. And there we've got it. Got that nice little piece there. And you can see we've got the thorax here. And we've got us a nice CDC deer wing dry fly. This is going to be perfect fishing for your blue wing olives. It's going to float nice and good in that film and give you a nice natural profile to this fly. So make sure and hit the subscribe button, the bell to get notifications, like our video and leave a comment, and we look forward to tying for you again. You guys have a great evening.